Hey, what's up guys? It's Marcus Jose from the Bull Co and welcome to our video today. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come over and spend 15 minutes watching this video, and I want to make sure I'm bringing enough value so you guys can give me at least a couple minutes every single day. Well, today, like the title of the video, is called Working with an Aggressive Dog. And more specifically, I want to talk about a dog that we recently had on here named Chubbs. Now, Chubbs is a 1-year-old American bully. Some of the background on this dog is before he was a year old, he'd already been in 1, 2, 3, 4 fights. An unfortunate thing for a young puppy to have to defend himself like that. And from what I've seen, for me, it doesn't feel like it was his fault. He just wanted to do it because that's all he knew. So let's fast forward to the dog getting to my house. When the dog first got to my house, as you see in this video, he starts going after my dogs through the window glass. Now the glass pane, it's glass, the barrier, but it isn't meant to be hit like this dog was hitting it. And you can kind of see the dog wagging his tail, but he's not happy. Trust me, the way that I knew something was going on is because as I was speaking with his owners, I heard growling and teeth biting, him chopping like that. And it caught my attention very, very quickly. In the video, you see me come over calmly. Now, if any of you were ever to get into a situation where you have to stop a dog from being this way, this aggressive, you have to make sure, number one, you go in with a clear head. You have to not have any preconceptions that the dog's gonna bite you. And vice versa, you have to understand and know what you're gonna do if a dog bites you. So in the video, I calmly grabbed the dog. I knew and seeing that all his energy was put towards the dogs on the inside. Very quickly, he could have turned around and bit me because of how excited he was, but that was something I was prepared for, right? So, put the leash on him, give him a couple corrections, got him away, broke his focus from the door, and that was the first and the last time he ever made any aggressive move towards any dog on my yard. Now, taking you guys through the paces of what I do, I'm gonna explain it now, because this just seems like something you guys really need to know. Because an unfortunate thing is that dog aggression is very common. It's not anything rare, but it is rare when you meet people or regular owners who know how to deal with it, because typically the average owner does not. So I'm gonna take you through the paces of what I do when a dog first gets here, or when a dog first gets to the camp, and how we work him through the progression. So when a dog first gets here, like this dog, from the very second he gets here, I'm observing him, his behaviors, what are his mannerisms, what are his habits, what body language is he expressing. What I read from Chubbs is, number one, he wasn't the least bit concerned about me. He didn't wag his tail not one time. All he was fixated on was finding and seeing a dog. He smelt them, but he wanted to see them. And then he wanted to do what he did to the door, to them. But it goes way further than that. When I first get a dog, I'm actually watching them closely for 3 or 4 days. And I don't mean like watching, obviously I'm watching the dog, but I'm observing the dog for 3 or 4 days. I knew from the get-go he needed to start leash training fast, and because he needed to know who was in charge. When I meet a client and the first thing I see is their dog posturing and pulling on the leash and almost defeat in the eyes of the client, it just feels bad. So we start walking the dog that day. He's pulling, he's jumping around, he's posturing, he's focusing, he's smelling the ground, he's peeing. These are all behaviors that a normal dog that's comfortable with himself does not exude. A dog that's comfortable within his own skin and trusts the person that's on the other side of the lead does not go side to side, does not sniff the ground constantly, does not try to mark constantly, does not get fixated constantly. And I seen it quickly in this dog, what was going on. The anxiety had built up so high, and it was almost as if all he knew was to fight, and all he knew was to defend himself. So very early on, I knew I had to get this dog to trust me, and I knew I had to get this dog to relinquish control of situations to me. And how I did that was just by walking, but not just letting him walk by himself, but actually controlling his pace, controlling his actions, correcting him at the correct moments. As soon as he starts to exhibit that behavior, it's corrections, it's reverting. It's every single time over and over again. It took me at least 4 or 5 days to get him under control to the point to where I could at least go live and talk about him on the live, right? He was very bad. Anytime he heard a bark, he would perk. He would lunge. Wherever the dog was, he would lunge that way. If there was a dog, God forbid there was a dog walking by, he would go after the dog, right? And over time, I taught this dog to relinquish control. I taught him that I wasn't gonna accept anything other than a complete follower, a dog that follows my every command. I would accept nothing else. And that's all he knew. And that's all he knows now for the last 2 weeks. And it might be one of the advantages of sending your dog to a person and trainer like myself, that they don't know what to expect, and the only thing they ever learn is the positives, if the trainer's good, okay? Is the positive things, to associate the leash with control and exercise and a good feeling, and to trust the person on the other side of the leash to protect him, right? So that's what we set out in doing. Well, fast forward a couple days, a week into this now, he's walking really, really good. He's being corrected very easily. He's being verbally corrected. If I tell him to heel, he falls back. If I tell him to leave it, he looks away. If I tell him to come, he starts going, right? And those are the things we worked on. And essentially, as soon as I got him to the point where he was listening to every single command, then we took the next step. And it was to get a dog with him. Because this dog was very aggressive towards every dog, I knew if I can get him with one dog, I can get him with another dog, okay? So, first dog we introduced him with was Stark. Stark is a year old, it's about the same age. The only difference is that he's bigger and he's just more calm. Obviously, he's my dog, right? So, I didn't 100% trust the dog, but I trusted my skill and my will to control this dog while on the leash. So the first day we walked together, they didn't get to meet. All we did was take a walk. They were one on my right, one on my left. When one sped up, I heeled them both. When the other sped up, I heeled them both. Every single time. And we did that for 2 or 3 days. We're walking together 2 or 3 days without meeting. And finally one day, it's the other day, I get home and I think to myself that the behaviors that he was exuding have not shown themselves in at least a week and a half. So it's time to put some trust inside the training and trust in the dog that he's not going to attack and totally change himself as soon as I let him off the leash. So one morning after our walk, I let them off the leash and everything was fine. I knew it would be, but there's always that chance, right? And keep in mind, guys, I know how to break up a dog fight. I don't want there to be a dog fight, but I know how to break one up. There's been a couple videos I've uploaded, and you guys see a yellow stick sticking out of my pocket. That's what we call a break stick, and that's something that professionals use to break up a fight easily and a lot faster than trying to pull 2 dogs apart, okay? If that dog were to get a hold of my dog or vice versa, I'm gonna grab a hold of one dog, I'm gonna put an anchor on the tree, and I'm gonna break the hold and we're gonna go on. But I always have it on me when I'm working with this dog or any aggressive dog or any dog period. You gotta have a backup plan every single time. Okay, so once we started putting him with different dogs, it was time to introduce him to 2 dogs at a time, 3 dogs at a time. And the reason for that is his behavior, his erratic behavior, very puppyish, is going to be able to be settled down by two dogs acting totally different than him. And I have to stay close. I have to stay within 5 or 10 feet because he likes to lick. He likes to be in their face. And that may be something he picked up a long time ago, and maybe the reason why he's gotten into fights before, because other dogs don't like that. The thing about it is, a bad behavior, it will always stay a bad behavior if you don't do something to correct that behavior. So when he's outside, me, him, Stark, and Kula or Carmel, when he makes a movement that's out of the ordinary, that I don't want him to make, that's too sudden, that's too forward, can be considered as dominating, whatever it is, he's being corrected. And keep in mind, I've already established these corrections on the leash. So now these corrections, he's associating that with being on the leash, which is in turn why they work a lot better than if you were to try to teach him a correction with a treat, okay? So now we are about almost 2 weeks now. He's going home Saturday. This dog is not 100% fixed. Because he's like this in the first place, I know that there's something going on or something went on at his home to get him like this, to make him be this way. So my challenge with the 2-3 hours I spend with the clients when they come Saturday is to figure out what habits the owners have that allow this behavior to not only manifest, but they actually nurtured it somehow. And if you don't think that you do that, and you tell me that your dog, oh, he listens, but he just doesn't listen when he's out. Or he listens, he just doesn't listen when the door rings or the doorbell rings, right? And I always want to tell you something. People's like, what are you talking about? It's not listening. If the dog doesn't listen, well, shit hits the fan, per se. He's not listening. He doesn't listen. So today, we worked with Stark and him on the leash together, right next to each other, walking. You can see that they're very comfortable. You can see that they're relaxed. They're not, neither one of those dogs were making any movements toward anyone, towards anything. And the thing about it is that this dog, Chubbs, who came here, was supposedly aggressive. Yet 2 weeks later, he's with dogs that he has not grown up with, and he's 100% fine with them. So is the dog truly an aggressor, or is he a product of his environment? And for me, from my experience with him, he's that way because he felt like he had to protect himself. So I think and I believe the challenge is going to be showing the owners how to show him protection, how to show him to be comfortable, and how to keep him that way. Because right now, he is a good companion dog. He relaxes when it's time to relax. He plays when it's time to play. He eats when it's time to eat. For me, there's nothing wrong with this dog now, other than his past. That's the only thing stopping me from putting him with the pack all completely together, is his past. Because I talked about this on my last video, there's this thing called a cap. An unfortunate thing is that this dog is already past the part of tolerance. If another dog acts dominant with him, he's going to fight because he's already past that part of tolerance. He's already learned that he can survive a fight, and he can give it as good as he can take it, maybe better. So this dog is built to last. He's very high energy. He has a lot of endurance, a lot of muscle on a smaller frame, very agile. He can be a working dog to where they give him a job. I mean, if not pulling, right? He hasn't got that much drive. So to end Chubbs' video here, when working with an aggressive dog, there's a couple things you gotta remember. The number one thing is you have to stay calm, right? You have to stay calm and work with the dog. You have to be sure to not put your habits on that dog until you understand him, understand what he's doing. And if it's your dog, it's gonna be hard to figure out what you're doing wrong because you're already doing it. It's gonna take somebody like myself, a professional like myself, to understand your behaviors and how those are translating to your dog, okay? Secondly, is if you have two dogs that have fought, to reintroduce them, don't free leash them. Don't put them in the yard, okay? They've already been into a fight. They already don't know who is more dominant, because if you've seen your dogs fight, you've broken the fight up, and you know there's no ending there. And there probably will not be an ending anywhere, again, if you just let them into the yard together. So my solution to that is to take your dogs on a walk. Get them comfortable around each other. Let one another know that if they see each other, it's not an automatic aggression or a fight. It's okay to be around each other because you're fine and you're fine because you're both with me and you're both following me. Another thing is, once you understand the things that are ailing your dog, you have to work to combat those things inside the dog and work on yourself to not do those things because they're your habits that they develop those bad things, right? And the example I always use is Chihuahuas. Like, we've all been there. We've all been walking our dogs and a Chihuahua starts going off, barking. And what does the owner always do? The owner always picks up that dog and the dog continues to pop off at the mouth. And the reason for that is touching your dog in that moment is essentially giving them the go-ahead to continue acting the way they're acting. So, just like if you were to come home and your dogs always jump on you, well, do you pet your dog when they're excited? If you do, it's your fault. You're conditioning them to, no matter what state of mind they're in, they're still gonna get the attention that they want. So you're conditioning them. Hey guys, don't make any mistakes about it. It is us as owners that create bad habits in our animals. So it is up to us to fix those habits. All right, guys? So anyways, that's the end of the video. I hope you found a gold nugget or two. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to support a little bit more, I'm going to place my links for my other social medias, Instagram, Facebook, as well as our link to our Patreon, where our patrons get exclusive access to our videos and our training sessions, raw, uncut, and also get direct access to me if they need me. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming through. I'll talk to you soon.